Hi there, Colin Hall, BizPlans UK. It's the week after the UK local elections and the Runcorn by-election. And if you are a businessman in the UK, you need to pay attention to what's happening to politics because it affects government policy. And policy affects everything from the taxes you pay to the economic landscape you live in, regulations, legislation, and so on. So what can we glean from last week's results? Where Reform did astonishingly well, Conservatives did astonishingly badly, Labour did almost as badly, Lib Dems did okay but not brilliantly, and the Greens got a pretty good surge. Well, the immediate response from Keir Starmer was that Labour must go faster and deeper. I'm not sure that's the right lesson to draw from these elections, but if that's what he's going to do, then fair enough. But what has actually happened and what might that mean for the government and policies which affect business? So I think the result was too big a swing to be merely a protest vote. I think Reform are here as at least for the medium term, permanent fixture in our politics. I think we're seeing a desertion of Labour to the likes of the Greens, to a lesser extent Lib Dems, from Progressives. Obviously, Reform are picking up a lot of Tory votes, but they're also picking up a lot of Labour votes. And that leaves Labour in a bit of a quandary. So if it tries to shore up its progressive vote, stop them from deserting to the likes of the Greens, then that will move it further away from Reform and means they're likely to leak more supporters to Reform. On the other hand, if they try and go head-to-head with Reform, which are widely seen as a right-wing party, although I'd argue a lot of their positions have stopped being right-wing quite some time ago. For instance, immigration now is too widespread a concern to be regarded as right or left. Then they are likely to lose Progressives even faster to the likes of the Greens in particular. So what are they going to do? They're in a quandary. When you add on top of that the likes of Tony Blair telling them that net zero doesn't work and should be dropped, and some of the big unions now saying the same thing because of their concern over jobs, then all their flagship policies are under attack. An interesting point to note in terms of the competency of the Labour government is that the increases or the dropping of the winter fuel allowances for old age pensioners was a policy that the Treasury had offered to multiple previous Chancellors under the Conservatives, and each time they went, absolutely not, doesn't earn us that much money, and the political cost is too high. And yet Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer said yes to it straight away, which throws up all sorts of questions about political savviness, communication, and competence. So going back to what policies might change, if indeed Starmer is correct that he says we must go farther, deeper, that means that they will make even more changes to the likes of workers' rights, which in turn will have a really negative impact on business. And indeed, we're seeing cases where businesses are already making changes to how they employ people as a way of getting around it. So more contract staff and less employees. And that's likely to continue. The knock-on effect of that will be more youth unemployment, as people are reluctant to backfill spaces, and that always trickles down to the newest entrants to the marketplace, which is the youth. If the economy continues to stagnate, then they'll seek to raise taxes elsewhere, which in turn will drive down growth further. And of course, the big unknown is Mr. Trump and what he does, because given their size, what they do has a massive impact on us, whether you like it or not. Whether that is with the Ukraine war, leaving the UK with a bigger bill to pay to support Ukrainians, whether that's with tariffs or any of the other numerous policies that he's enacting, which are damaging both the US and the rest of the world. So it's a very mixed bag, and it's how Labour responds to it that will impact us. If, on the other hand, Labour decides that, hang on a minute, what we're doing isn't working, we need to step back, and then you'll see a reduction in the burden of net zero, and you'll see a watering down of the employment laws, although of the two options, I think that's extremely unlikely. And so if you're looking forward to next year when those new rules and laws come into effect, the chances are they're not going to be watered down, because that would be a flagship policy that was being rejected, and I'm not sure Starmer's premiership would survive such a change of course. And in all politics, personal politics is usually the most important, because very, very few politicians are humble enough to put the country ahead of their own careers. And that's not a reflection of Keir Starmer, that's just politicians and politics. So all in all, expect economic turbulence, poor growth, until such time as the hand of the government is forced, because it simply can't afford to do all the things it wants to do. And at that point, something will give. Probably Rachel Reeves will go, probably some other ministers will go. I suspect we will see an increase in taxes on one side, and we will see the dropping of some of the flagship policies, most probably net zero, but not for a year or two, while it continues to do damage in the background in the meantime. So sorry I don't have better, cheerier news for you, but that's my take of what's going on. If you disagree, if you have different ideas, comment below, send me a message. Cheers for now.